G'day everyone, welcome to the stunning Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. It's the 6th and penultimate round of the Shannons Australian Motor Racing Nationals. Cracking weekend of racing, and gee, this has been a good series this year.
Well, fantastic to see father-son combinations in any sport, but motor racing, it's fairly rare, and we've got Jack and David Crampton here with us today who are driving in the prototype series. And David, must be a bit of an honour and a bit of a pleasure to be driving with your son.
Oh, it's an amazing feeling. You know, yesterday or in practice at the start of the weekend, seeing him down the straight in front of me was just nearly brought a tear to the eye. Yeah. It's good, and it's a fantastic thing that I'm actually doing it, but to get Jack in beside me, racing in the same series, really proud of him.
Have you ever thought that this would actually happen? Was it something that you guys had planned?
I actually hadn't planned on it. I was lucky enough to be in a position to buy a new car this year. And so the second, we didn't want to sell the old one. So Jack's had the opportunity to race. This is his second race meeting. So, yeah, and he's done really well.
How are you finding getting your head around the radical?
Yeah, it took a few track days to get used to it, and still getting used to it as well, but getting the hang of it slowly.
And Jack, for you, was the path, did you start off in go-karts and work your way through, or?
Never racing, just the hire karts and a bit of motorbike riding, and just jumped in, really.
We're going to start today with Prototype Series, second race for them, final round of the season for these guys, and pretty interesting race yesterday with Phil Hughes taking the win.
Yeah, Phil Hughes came of age yesterday as a race car driver. He's always fancied himself as a mechanic, and he has been. His credentials are second to none in GT racing around the world. He bought this car on screen right now, the red and yellow old SR3 Radical, with Alan Simonson, with the thought of going racing together with it, just a bit of hit and giggle type racing, and fantastic to see Phil getting across the line and getting that victory. And he'll start on pole position with Aaron Steer right next to him, so a mixture of both the Radical and the West.
And of course Aaron Steer subbing for John Paul Drake this weekend. Chris Sutton in third spot on the grid, Gerard Ruff behind him, and then Mark Laucke, our series leader, will start out position 5. David Crampton started out of pit lane yesterday and got up to 6. Scott McKay, Jack Crampton, Terry Peovitis, who came off the sick bed to actually race, didn't do the qualifying session. Philip Tan is in position 10.
Now, Phil Hughes will have done plenty of these, talking with Alan Simonson through the start of a race. They are lined up very well, so we are set for a start. That's Mark Laucke. He is in the championship lead, starting out of 5th with some radicals in front of him in wet is not ideal. In fact, if he was wishing, he'd be wanting that to be him out in front and it be dry conditions. And away they go, given the green lights. They charge down into the Bass Strait abyss. And there it is, the bright red and yellow car of Phil Hughes leading them through, but it's the Rubik's Cube that's going to go round the outside. Aaron Steer stays brave, tucks in behind Hughes, and this is where we see the drive line, if you like, of the Radical start to come into play here. We see the sports racer type Wests. They've got a chain-driven type drive line, whereas the Radical has a quaif type disc, so a full sort of motorsport type limited slip differential. And we're just watching Aaron Steer battling with that at the moment. Have a look at that spray off into the white. Not even fog light's going to do that for you through there.
Yeah, Chris Sutton looks like he's trying to go down the inside of Aaron Steer down to turn 4. One of them runs a bit wide. One of the Cramptons, we've got a father and son running here this weekend. The number 3 car with David Crampton and the number 333 car driven by young Jack. And now Crampton takes a spot off car number 88. That's Gerard Ruff. Now, Gerard Ruff yesterday picked up 2 spots in the last 2 laps of the race.
He did,
get
charged
up to into 4th position in the end, knocking our series leader back to 5th.
Mark Laucke's losing positions here at the moment. He's going right back through the field at the moment, and Phil Hughes is driving away. This is in fact what Phil has to do. He has to basically win both these races today to be in any sort of contention. He led the first half of the season after dominating round 1 in the wet at Sandown. We're watching both the Crampton vehicles there. Number 3 is Dave Crampton, and
333.
The 333 is Jack Crampton.
Yeah, so get that right eventually.
They look just about exactly the same. There's Chris Sutton, the number 35, who's also in championship contention in his Radical.
Moved from third position to second position in the points, and actually qualified fastest yesterday. He had to go back to the pits and change his own tyres because it started off fairly wet, and he went out after he changed his tyres and put it on pole position. How good was that? Right at the end of the session.
That's a tough session, that is. Getting in and out of your car, doing all of that, that's hard work. I think it was only 3 laps ultimately in the end that got him there, but he did very well. Look at that. There's the Radical just driving right round the outside at turn 2. Almost unheard of. Aaron Steer takes the road, which is his, but certainly Chris Sutton letting him know he's there. G'day, mate. I'm here. I'm going wide, and I've got all the grip in the world to hang on.
I think he had to wave to let him know that he was there, but Aaron Steer's not going to let him have it easy, is he?
No. And he doesn't have to either. You've got to get past. This is car racing. That's what it's all about.
And there goes Sutton into second position as they exit turn 4 and head towards Siberia. It's interesting that we see that our series leader, Mark Laucke, back in 9th position at the moment. Not what he wanted this weekend.
Here's a replay coming down at lap 2. This is Sutton down the inside of Aaron Steer, and he's made that stick.
Phil Hughes
Good move.
is actually driving away with this at the moment. 10.6 seconds up the road, and we're only just completed the second lap.
Aaron Steer, we can see he's struggling now with the charging Dave Crampton. This is what the story with prototype racing has been. Dry, Wests disappear off into the distance. 1 litre, chain driven, very aero, very slick through the air package. Wet, the Radicals a little bit more weight. A limited slip type drive line helps that horrendously. So fantastically, not horrendously, but really does help the result come that way with that limited slip diff. And we're just seeing that now. And the sun's actually come out trackside here. And yesterday, once we saw the sun get on the track, it was about 10 minutes later, the track was dry, and then the West started to come right back at them. I think it's going to be a bit late because at 11.2 second lead for Phil Hughes, it's going to take a long time.
Yeah, we haven't had any actual rain during this race. This all happened, the wet weather happened before the event started, so it's just a wash-off, I guess you could say, from that. And at the moment, the prediction is that we won't get any more rain today, but I'll have to wait and see on that one.
Yeah, we sort of thought that late yesterday, and there was a couple of late downpours out there as well. This is Jarrett Ruff just coming out in the CRC Industries car. Back to Aaron Steer now. This is for 3rd and 4th on the road. 7 laps still to go. And I've got the feeling this battle is going to rage because Phil Hughes is already down the straight as we catch the back end of the prototypes. Down the inside it will be running to turn 1. Aaron Steer looks up there. And he looks to make it stick, but he can't.
He does. David Crampton goes around the outside of him into turn 1.
And makes it work.
And we've got Radicals running 1, 2 and 3. We knew this would be the case on a wet track, and it's proved to be right now. Jared Ruff is the one that's come right into picture frame at the moment too. He made a great second half race yesterday to come from about 6th or 7th position to get up to 4th. And he looks like he's on a bit of a charge again today.
Jarrett Ruff is acquitting himself very well this year. We hadn't seen a lot of him on the national scene with the prototypes until this year. At Winton, he really came of age. Looked up the inside there of Aaron Steer. If you're going to make a move in prototype racing on Aaron Steer, you want to make it stick because he'll punish you if you don't get all the way through on him. And that's what he's doing at the moment, taking a very wide line through Siberia in the number 66. Phil Hughes' fastest lap in this race, 1:44.8. He's nearly 2 seconds clear a lap faster than anyone else out there. Chris Sutton has done a 1:46.4. Dave Crampton a 1:46.8. Then we go to the West, and the best lap there is Jarrett Ruff on a 1:48.3. Mark Laucke's fought back very strongly, but his best lap is a 1:50. So he's back up into P6 at the moment as we see Chris Sutton plunge down into MG corner, which can be tough in these wet conditions. But that resurface that the track had a couple of years ago got rid of all of those rivers that used to run across the track. Not rivers, but certainly an annoying creek going across the track all the way around here. There was 2 or 3 of them. Nothing now.
I bet you when you hit it, it felt like a river.
Yeah, well, with one of these it would feel nice and low to the ground. You used to aquaplane around there, but we don't see that anymore, and that's why in the wet we're seeing a lot better straight line speed down the straight. And and it's ultra critical to get the drive all the way out of turn 9, around 11 and 12 for your terminal speed right here, where Chris Sutton is now at around about 255, 258 in a radical in a west.
It's interesting seeing David Crampton here. We've got Scott McKay off. That's the car that won the series last year in the hands of Roger Ianson. This year run by Scott McKay, who's having his second outing for the season. First ran that car at Sydney Motorsport Park back in July.
It's Phillip Tan, just quickly. Great to see Phillip joining the National Series, and a great inclusion there in the Bayside Dental Specialists outfit.
Yeah, he's I guess you'd call him a specialist dentist. And Phillip first ran in this series at Whitten and had respectable results for his first outing. And now we've got Jack Crampton coming up on the back of Mark Laucke. Mark Laucke not having a very good time of it out here at the moment. I think there must have been a bit of a timing issue with that car earlier, because it has been running back as around sixth, and at one stage it sort of dropped right off, but it certainly hasn't lost position as far as we could see until about now. Yeah,
Mark Laucke had regained this spot about a lap or two ago on Jack Crampton, but Jack Crampton's not letting him go, and he's actually darting left and right, just letting him know he's there, and really challenging for it. Just seeing off the back of the track now that, there's Laucke, championship leader, spins, and that's going to be very hard to recover from, because it is wet, and we just saw it, the spray coming out of the bottom of the car. Now Mark is rummaging around in the gearbox for first gear. He's going to need it. The fire's lit, we can tell that.
So it stalled initially when he spun off.
Laucke all by himself put the wheels up on the ripple strip, the course painted there, slipped over the back, and basically they just dispensed with him. Jam Motorsport sticker just behind the front wheel there. Laucke Flour Mills, the South Australian. Terry Peovitis going down a lap here. This is interesting in the FL1. Car number 4 going down a lap. He's been in pretty much outright contention all year, sort of around about the 3rd to 5th mark. Just not enjoying these conditions.
Yeah, he said, well, he's not well, as we spoke about earlier, misqualifying, and basically just got out of bed, came and raced and went again.
Have a look at this. Mark Laucke now weighing in on the field. Lapped. He's going down a lap.
Yep.
But just trying... I hope he was trying to get out of the way of Aaron Steer there, that's for sure. He's getting out of the way of these guys now. He realises he's not in contention. Lets Jarrett Ruff through. Jack Crampton, maybe not letting him through. He's going to go with him on this one. So Jarrett Ruff's looking at him saying, well, come on, Mark, we know you're quick, but you're not really in this race. But Mark Laucke is trying to secure some points whatever he can.
There's a good profile of the two different West models that are out there this weekend. The older car is the blue one, of course, and the newer car is the yellow and black and orange car, as a Radical gets in on the act as well.
Phil Hughes is on his last lap, our race leader, as that's Laucke streaming down into turn 1. Take him out of the equation. In fact, he's giving the guys the wave through there. He's realised that 2 of them are on him now, and ever the gentleman, and in fact he's probably one of the most gentlemanly racers you'll find out there, right up until that last lap, and he's in contention. Then
I've never seen him without a smile on his face. So even when he won the series 2 years ago, and had all those dramas, had an accident, had all sorts of gearbox issues, what have you, no shift lights for a lot of the season. Never actually didn't have a smile on his face.
Yeah, he's one of those kind of guys that even a bad day at the racetrack kills a good day in the office, that's for sure. Sliding through turn 4 there as our race leader coming around. Well, this is going to be his second victory for the weekend. Phillip Hughes, ladies and gentlemen, the motor mechanic out of Braeside here in Melbourne, streams around the top end of the track. If you want a guy to look after your Ferrari during the week, he's your man. But at the moment, he's looking after race wins for Phil Hughes and his family across the line. Last lap round, over 8 seconds to Chris Sutton. Dave Crampton, Aaron Steer, the first of the non-radical runners in his WX10. Then it's Jarrett Ruff, Jack Crampton, Phillip Tan, Scott McKay, the Victorian, Terry Peovitis, and Mark Laucke getting to the line 2 laps down there in 10th place.
Yeah, good. I mean, the start was critical, and I gave Aaron a hard time. I pushed him in the wet bit, and stuck to my guns. And then, just a bit like yesterday's race, just push the gap while it was greasy and hope I could hang on for the dry, but it didn't dry much, so I was all right.
Well, the Rainmeisters, they are going to possibly win this if I don't finish the next race, and I've got to finish in a good position, so it's as simple as that. If it doesn't rain, I've got a better chance. If it does rain, it's all up to me, and I just know I'm in trouble.
Great year of prototype racing, Gaz. Here's the replay.
Some highlights from that last race today. Of course, our front runners started on the wet tyres and would pay the penalty, and as we see here, one of the ones on the dry tyres was the Formula 1000 of Terry Peovitis. He goes through another close battle here between the Radicals, and unfortunately Chris Sutton speared off at turn 2, but gassed it up, got it through the gravel trap and out the other side. Lost a few seconds out of that one, but regained them for a tight finish towards the end.
And if I know Will Orders is here because the family's down here this weekend. You want to go and see Chris Sutton and see if you can get him into the RX Oz racing.
And coming down the checkered flag, Aaron Steer brings it home in the Rubik's Cube.
Yes, I must admit I climbed up and on the top of the pedestrian overpass and quite illegally stood, no, you didn't hear me say that, stood up as high as I could and had a really good look and watched what was happening with the GTs, and I could see that it was going to end up with a dry line for us. So yes, few of us started on slicks and it was the right choice. Well, hey, we're here to race after all, aren't we? So I just made sure I kept the car really tidy, and as the dry line developed, I made sure I stayed on it, and I was just very careful overtaking people. So really, it was less risky for me, I thought, to be on slicks than it would be to be on wets.
We're going to take a break because we go into the Australian Production Car Series in just a few moments. Welcome back trackside here at the Shannons Nationals. This is the penultimate round of the Shannons Nationals and indeed the Australian Production Car Series as well.
And I guess the big news out of all this is that we haven't got a pole-sitting Mitsubishi Evo 10 RS out there at all. The Rick Bates, Bob Pearson car out of the race altogether with gearbox issues prior to the warm-up this morning. And therefore we just have the one car on the front row, which will be the Ian and Grant Sherrin BMW M4.
So here is the grid. Grant Sherrin on the BMW M4 on pole. Next to him will be Will Brown, the Mercedes A45. George Madecki in the Ford FG2 GT-F. Indirian Padacci in the Mercedes 45.
Lachlan Gibbons in the Subaru out of position 5. Richard Bloomfield in the Holden SSV out of 6, Colin Osborne 7 in the Renault Megane, Chris Lillis we mentioned in the HSV VE GT, Tyler Everingham in the second of the Osborne Motorsports Renaults out of position 9, and Grant Phillips in the first of the Class D cars, the Toyota 86 GTS. And underway, and Will Brown missed that start fairly significantly, but it's the Falcon with George Medicki at the wheel, who goes immediately to the lead, leading Grant Sherrin down into turn 1 on the first occasion. Then we've got Padacci in not the Mercedes we expected to be up around the front of the grid, but the other one in P3, and with the similar car of Will Brown, the next one through.
Time sheets are going mad as all the positions are swapping around there. Looks like Richard Bloomfield had made his way tidily up through there from about 7th in that white Commodore.
If you believe the timesheets, there's a Class E car in front.
So there goes car number 54, the big HSV there as well, coming down there. Sorry, 24, the old Bloomfield car, but it is the Falcon that leads the way. The BMW M4, we've got 3 cars side by side. There's the Bloom Eldfield car mixed up in there as well. Then the Callahan Lillis car. In fact, that might have been the Callahan Lillis car that I saw flashing through that white car there, the HPS outfit. Got a really good start, but just getting gazumped a little bit by some of these other cars. The WRX, the full gas racing car, Lachlan Gibbons at the wheel. That found his way, lost the spot actually off the start.
What we did notice that Brown has passed Padacci, so Brown is back up to 3rd position. Although he's a fair gap on. It'll be interesting to see the difference between the Falcon and the BMW when we get onto the straight, because we know the BMW is very fast in a straight line, And Gibbons, who got a slowish start, now is starting to make his way back up.
I don't like the smoke or vapour that I saw coming out of the back of the Bilstein Mercedes, just off the back of screen there. Is it a tyre rubbing or?
Yeah, it's got a drama. There's a drama with that car. And here we see him come down the straight side by side the first time. Ford's finest against a BMW M4, and the BMW with the turbo has kicked in and takes it to the lead.
Gee, only just though, got through. Madecki is not relinquishing on it. These guys in the Falcon, if they want to be there, they're going to have to run it until they try and break this BMW and push hard. Will Brown still with it. That's actually coming.
That's not tyre rub.
No, that's coming out from sort of underneath the car somewhere. So that's not ideal. Didn't see any contact. He got a horrible start, but certainly haven't seen any contact for it to be a tyre rubbing, and that is coming out from under the. It's coming out from under the right-hand rear. Interesting to see that in a straight line and see where that smoke is coming from, or when it's loaded on that on a left-hand corner.
It's not doing it now, but that's only.
There it is.
Unless whatever that smoke is has run out.
Yeah. There's the car now just going through there.
And on screen, Gibbons in the Subaru chasing down the HSV of Lillis, which had some brake caliper problems in practice, didn't get out at all on Friday. So they were a little bit behind the 8 ball as far as setup and getting this car organised. Not that the weather was going to help them a lot. And look at the gap that Sharon has put on Midiki just in that half lap or so. Continue to watch the smoke coming out of the back of this car, which might suggest a rear diff issue.
Yeah, it's sort of in that vicinity, isn't it? It doesn't look like it's coming from the middle of the front of the car. It's further back in, isolated into that right-hand rear wheel area. Not ideal here at Phillip Island. Right-hand rear wheel, the second most loaded tyre on the car. In fact, it's around through turn 2. It's the most loaded.
And Chris Lillis moves up a position by taking the Mercedes with Patiacci at the wheel. Brown in the pits. We expected that there's a drama with that car. Well, we could see dramas with that car. It is now pulled in, so that's not a good sign that that car has pitted so early in this race, just at the end of lap 2.
So we are in the early parts of a 4-hour race here for production cars. It does get a bit frantic for the first 5, 6, 7 laps.
Chris Lillis in third. He's lapping quicker than Mediki, which indicates that he may move up into second at some stage. The gap there at the moment is 5.1 seconds between those two, but he has his hands full keeping the Subaru behind him at the moment, which is in 4th spot. Patiacci, then we've got Everingham leading Class C and his boss, Osborne. Bloomfield in 8th. Phillips, the first of the Class D cars, the Toyota in 9th ahead of Martins and Gray. And then we've got Troy Williams who's in 12th. We've got a replay of some attempted passing manoeuvre here by Lachlan Gibbons, and those hazard lights do go on when he hits the brakes by the look of it.
Yeah, it's only in the final part. He wouldn't have been hitting the brakes that late into that corner, that's for sure. Here is the VY HSV of Dean Potts and, of course, Troy Williams, who didn't look like he was going to be on track here this weekend until part the way through this week that he got this deal with Dean Potts and brought the VY HSV Club Sport to the track.
Battling with a couple of Class D cars at the moment, with Michael Gray in the Corolla just ahead and Damien Martins just behind in the Mini. And we've got Royalsy talking to Will Brown, who's still sitting in that car.
Yes, thanks guys. I'm with Will Brown, who's smiling from ear to ear, but I don't know why with the car parked so early. We hear an oil leak. Where and when did this happen?
Yeah, it actually happened on the warm-up lap. So the warm-up start, we clicked it into, we've got a launch control mode, and hasn't been working, which I wish it didn't this time because that's what caused it. But clicked into launch control, and off the start, just it's done a drive shaft. So we'll get it back out there, but we'll just be running around and learning a bit more about the car and obviously developing it, which is a bit disappointing. But hopefully we can get it sorted.
It's the Woods Patiacci car in here, and Patiacci at the wheel, which of course will be not shared by Woods, it will be shared by Garth Walden, and that looked to be all on his own.
Got a little bit wide out of that corner, and Unfortunately, once you get off the track here, it's very slippery and boggy. And lucky he didn't spin back off the track. Just a quick replay of it here, coming through this corner. It looked like the Commodore actually got a bit wide too, going out of that, or a bit taily.
It did. The number 64 looked like it got a little bit of oversteer, didn't it? And then looked like it just followed in his tracks.
Yeah, I could do a better job than you can.
Miriam Padauchi did it in a bit of Euro glam, whereas the Aussie muscle car took off up the road. George Madecki's doing a fairly good job here. He's not hanging on to the number 18, but he's certainly warding off any contenders. He's got a good couple of second lead over Lachlan Gibbons in the Subaru.
They had a drama in qualifying. This car actually did its qualifying time on 7 cylinders. Had a plug issue.
The Mini number 50 goes inside the Corolla number 25, and Dominic Martins gets through on Michael Gray, but the
there's
Corolla
a drama.
Is in strife.
It's slowing. He looked like he allowed the Mini to go through, but now that's slowed dramatically as it comes down the straight. That's in the first pit as well, so he's got to do a whole lap.
And then get all the way down the pit lane.
Yeah, to the very end of the pits.
It sounds like it's in ghost mode too, so he may not even be making it any further down than where he is right now.
And it looks like he's going to pull up. If he pulls up there, there'll be a safety car for sure. And we might see a round of pit stops.
Here's the number 28 Potts car. Dean Potts, who's combined with Troy Williams.
Got a puncher for our race leader.
That's way too early. That's, what are we, 11 laps in. That's a state round sprint race, and that right front has given up. Well, that'll give the Madecki Falcon that's running on 7 cylinders the race lead in the not too distant future. A 32nd lead, a very healthy lead in the BMW, so they'll crawl that back. Pit lane, that's a cruel blow.
And it looks like Lachlan Gibbons has got a bit of a hurry on now. He can lead this race, and I guess that's a fair incentive to get past the Ford and possibly get a good lead. Previous race leader has just arrived at pit lane as the 20. Oh, and Gibbons is off the road now with dramas. Looks like a wheel's gone on that, the left front.
Yeah, it's trying to get off the car, isn't it? Now, that's well down the access road, and he's trying to get moving, but yeah, that wheel's disappeared up into the guard. Here we go, live pictures down in the lane now.
Would like to see a replay of what happened to Gibbons there to see whether it looks like it's just had a failure. That's a suspension failure, left front.
What was the chicken or the egg, Gaz? What do you think?
Yeah.
Looks like it's
the egg.
Got a flat. There it is, the Lachlan Gibbons car, Dimitri Agathos car, who had a terrible run at Winton. The last couple of rounds have gone reasonably well with it. And rules at the pit lane.
Michael, not the place you want the car to be. What's the problem?
Well, we're not sure at the moment, but we sort of missed a gear coming onto turn 12, and we might have given it a little bit of an over rev. So the guys are just going to pull some plugs out, have a look at it, but no, definitely not where we want to be at this early part of the race. And you know, the car was quite strong. It's been strong all weekend, and you know, driver error just was getting a little bit notchy through the box, and it sort of just missed a gear.
So we're under control by the Zagami Autosport McLaren of Melbourne, McLaren 570. It's out on track at the moment. There's no other series, championship, race meetings around the country that has such a flash looking bit of kit for when we need a safety car. Race leader in George Madecki. So now the challenge for the safety car is to pick up the race leader, which is Tyler Everingham, as Madecki will in a moment register being in pit lane. So they will have to wave through that Mini that's behind. That's not the race leader. Here's the pit stop, live pictures from pit lane with George Madecki and Jeremy Gray in there.
Looks like George is staying on board, even though Jeremy was suited up.
Andrew's got Dimitri Agathos down in the pit lane from the Subaru team.
Dimitri, devastating news there. What did you see happen?
Looking on the replays of what had happened, it looks like something to do with the front left-hand side of the car. Don't know if it's a suspension issue or whether, something's just let go at the front. And we're in a good, strong position, It's just disappointing.
As we get back underway, it will be Tyler Everingham leading Colin Osborne, and they're going to be gazumped by that big HSV as they go down the straight. Down the inside goes the HSV, and that's the Lillis car, Chris Lillis. Smack bang in the middle of the screen there, the big HSV with the black front on, the iridescent orange wheels. And by about an hour into this, those wheels will be, at least on the front, will be more black than they will be iridescent orange.
Yeah, that's been a pretty good strategy from Lillis and Callaghan to pit early, because they potentially could be leading this race within a lap or two. They're certainly in second position at the moment, just taking that off Colin Osborne. And it's been a pretty good move for them to pit early.
What has happened is that this has brought the Shannons right back into it. The safety cars brought them back into play. They're only 3 or 4 cars back from these guys, so you would anticipate that if they're going to switch to any sort of conservative plan, that at least in the next 2, 3, 4 laps, maybe the number 18 car could push its way back in the front. There he is charging through on the Class D car, which is leading the way in the... No, sorry, the Toyota 86 of Grant Phillips is leading the way. This one here, the Mini, the Dominic Martin's car, is second. And unfortunately, we've seen the Gray and Alexandra Best car all but withdrawn from this race.
We've just seen the Gibbons Agafos Subaru back in pit lane, and they'll be looking at garaging that for a little while at least to see if they can find out what the issue with us. And we're going to have a lead change coming down to complete lap 20, and Grant Sharon goes back to the front ahead of Chris Lillis, with Garth Walden in third spot. Tyler Everingham has gone from the lead back to position 4, and I dare say, even though that Falcon may not sound the best, it will soon get past the Renault as well.
And rules in the pit lane.
Jeremy, quick pit stop there. You look like you're ready to jump in. What happened?
George couldn't find his drink straw, so he needed a drink to hydrate, the big fella. So we took the opportunity to put a new spark plug in and try and get rid of the mist. George was really managing the tyres then. As you can see, the Shannons went a bit hard too early. So endurance racing, anything can happen.
As we look down the field, we can see Class E, the 2 Suzuki Swift Sports battling it out. And this will go on all race between these two guys, you can imagine. With at the moment it's the Walsh Curry car ahead of Hop, and of course Amy Griffiths is the third part of that battle, even though she's a little bit further back off the back of these two.
Interesting to look at those first few positions. Sharon, Walden, Lillis, Medecky and Everingham. Now, Medecky went through on Everingham the best part of 6 laps ago now, but he's still got him in sight. He's not getting away from the young bloke, and Everingham has got behind him the ever-present team owner in Colin Osborne. And we look at the points haul for the weekend: 58 to Everingham, 54 to Everingham and 48 to Osborne if they finish as they are right now. So what that will give is Everingham a 6-point lead, because they're tied up coming into this round.
Indeed, and with a round to go. So it's good for Osborne Motorsport to get a 1-2. They actually looked for a moment or two in qualifying as they're being on the front row together, because they split the qualifying between C, D and E as one session, and the other classes as another. And the first session was all dry. The second session started off wet, and for a while there it looked as though the cars that were the smaller capacity cars were going to be lapping quicker than the bigger cars. We're going to go down to Andrew now, who's got Amy Griffiths to talk to.
Amy, your first ever production car drive, how was it?
It was amazing. It's incredible out there. It's dry, so it's grippy, and it's working really well. The car's really good, the tyres are good if they're really grippy, and the brakes are good. So.
Pretty sure Amy's got a fresh set of Hancocks thrown on that car as they go back out on track.
Yeah, and a fancy pair of sunglasses to go with it.
Absolutely, a fancy pair of sunglasses. So great to have her amongst the field too. So two ladies with us here this weekend. Of course, Alexandra Best didn't actually get to start the run in the Corolla. Andrew Rawls is covering the stories in pit lane for us.
Jeremy Gray, obviously the car was all fixed up. What was the problem and how did you fix it?
No, the car's not fixed up yet, so the boys going to have another crack at it now, and I'll jump in and have a steer.
So what was the issue and what have they done to resolve it?
We still think it's a spark issue, so we're just going to change something else and see if it makes any difference.
As we see car 9 coming down into the pits. This is the Walsh-Curry series-winning Class E car from last year.
And leading Class E at the moment over Michael Hopp.
Andrew Riles has an update for us about the drive-through penalty for car 67.
Yes, thanks guys. Apparently it was an infringement on the last pit stop. They used two pieces of equipment and they're only supposed to use one, hence the drive-through penalty.
And the car is back in the pit lane as well now, so this will be the driver change. And George Madecki is getting out, and we'll see how this starts to unfold for that car. It does have that mist. Everyone knows about that now, but let's see how it can continue on.
Yeah, we're just watching our race leader, who's now got a lead of 46.3 seconds due to stops by the major rivals in Garth Walden and George Madecki. Speaking of George Madecki, Andrew Riles has him right now.
Wow, incident-packed race out there for you. Glad to see you back out there, but talk me through it all.
Yeah, we just got an engine problem, obviously. Pretty much the first lap it went down to 7 cylinders and it's been getting steadily worse and worse. We're actually a bit slower than the Megane down the front straight, but luckily the boys have done such a good job. It handles well, it stops well, so you can still make your way through most of the traffic, but unfortunately we've got a hand tied behind our backs today, and all we can do is push on.
Here's the car leading Class D, and Gaz, 4th on the road in this race.
Yeah, yet to make a pit stop as well.
Ticking the boxes.
Indeed. That's all you got to do. So all that late night work on Friday night to replace the engine might be well worth it, the way it's going at the moment.
We'll be back after this quick break here at the Shannons Nationals. Welcome back trackside here at the Shannons Nationals.
Falcon's got dramas again coming in.
Yeah, the Falcon is going in to the garage. Maybe Jeremy Gray's just had enough and said we're not achieving anything here.
Now Class D leading Toyota in the pits as well.
For the first time. Let's see how Grant Phillips is when he pours himself out of the 86. Big tall bloke, struggling to get out. No help there from
Andrew Turpie.
He gets in, got his little cushion that he puts in behind him.
Dramas for car 29 going slow. Pattiacci in the Mercedes-Benz 845 AMG. Oh, tyre.
Yeah, right front tyre. So they've given that car the big push. Number 29 is currently in 4th place. It's had 2 stops. Gaz, in the last stop over an hour ago, I think, wasn't it?
Last stop. We've got a replay.
Here we go. This is what happened. Bit of smoke, and there it is, giving up.
At turn 5 as well.
Yep.
Same as the BMW.
Yep.
Same spot on the track.
So it's not even a half lap to get back to the pits. Better than having it happen on the main straight and having to drive around and destroy half the car as debris flies off it, and you leave bits of tyre all over the track. So it's in, and in Class A1 comes in 6th place.
Yeah, most of the tyre's still there, unfortunately, on the rim. And the car that hasn't had any tyre dramas to this point has been the Lillis Callahan car, which we thought may have had, being such a big, heavy car. So we have Chris Lillis handing over to Nathan Callahan. Car 2nd on the road, and done a pretty good job up to this point. It's interesting that the Sherrons are 2.5 laps or thereabouts up on Nathan Callahan, who's now resumed in 2nd spot. But I assume that they will get one of those laps back while this car's been serviced.
Here's the Sherron Rentals crew. Let's watch them go to work. And Gary says it often, more speed, less haste. And that's pretty much what we see from the Sherron guys. They've been doing it long enough now. Every move is deliberate. They've practiced it. even to the point where Grant grabbed Ian on the helmet there and just shoved him into the car. It's like shoving a steamed dim sim into a plastic bag down at the local fish and chippery. Shoved him in.
That was the old Darren, wasn't it?
Well, these two guys, obviously brothers, and a bit of physical handling is probably what they've grown up with. But boy, when they go racing, they team up ever so well. Pat on the shoulder and good luck, mate. See how you go. Tony Shebecki's ready for us down in pit lane.
Mate, it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours too early.
Yeah, actually, we wanted the car to get to about an hour and a half because that's when we've been having all these overheating issues. But yeah, we got one lap, and you know, the rear end, the diff gave up, and we just really didn't have the bits to put a second diff in it.
So, isn't it amazing you've worked on so many problems on this car over the last few months, finally thought you had them all sorted, and then it's just a mechanical issue that does it?
Yeah, and look, all the other problems have been electronic, you know, limp modes, CAN bus, all sorts of things that, you know, you're not used to in other race cars. And then finally we've had a mechanical problem, so...
We're looking at the third place car at the moment. That's car 31, Callum Jones at the wheel and fighting it out, doing what he can for his teammate Tyler Everingham, who is co-leading Class C overall for the season. By my reckoning, I think Ian Sherrin will be okay to run till the end. He resumed in the race with about 1 hour 59 and some seconds remaining, so therefore he'll be under the 2 hours, depending when they finish this race off, of course. Oh, we've got a drama for car 55. That's Peter Sortwell, Michael Hopp, Suzuki. It's off the track. It looks like turn 2. So we may get a safety car as a result of this if it cannot be moved. It's stopped over the other side of the gravel trap. So try and get back to see where that is. I had a feeling it was out of turn 2. That's where the yellow flags are at the moment, and there it is, turn 2. So we don't know what's happened there, whether he's driven it off the track because there's been a problem, or is there a bit of tyre wall damage behind it?
Certainly looked like there was some mud sprayed up on the tyres there. That's all dry though. You would expect it to be a bit wet, being that we've had all that rain here. Here it is, safety car. So this is the throwdown to the field, and let's see who will take advantage of this. I guess, well, the Sherrins are up a lap. It depends where the safety car comes out, doesn't it, and who they wave through. As our safety car accelerates away, lights are out, we're about to go live again. Now this is going to play out well for Ian because there's no overtaking until you get to the start line, so he can choose when he goes.
He can bolt now,
yeah,
and
I'm surprised he hasn't actually, but there he goes. And the rest of the that A2 car, the Callahan car, and then Bloomfield, they cannot pass until they get to the start line. So
it'll be daylight between him and the rest, and by the time he gets to turn 1,
Arrivederci.
Yeah, come on, come with me, boys, if you can.
Let's go. There's Richard Bloomfield now into P2. Callahan in 3, and that was testament to the safety car, just where they pulled out. Oh, Ian Sherrin. Is he slowing?
He's slowing.
The number 18, our race leader for the last about 50 laps, has slowed. Is this a Control-Alt-Delete moment, or is this terminal?
I think he's picking up speed again now. So, yeah, drama. And
he's underway again. Oh no. So maybe a bit of heat sink while the thing sat still. Some alarms have gone off. The car needs to be reset. I'm going to say no harm, no foul, but that now puts a big question mark back over the number 18. Still leads the race, and just not skating away out in front. So it was a good restart for him. Took full advantage of it.
There was a big cloud of smoke in the background going into turn 4. I don't know what that was. Whether someone just had a massive brake lock up, but everyone seems to have got through there all right. But certainly that was a heart-stopping moment there. And you think if we'd lose our race leader, and what would happen after that?
And rules in the pit lane.
Yes, I'm with the co-driver Michael Hopp, the car 55 here. You can see the damage that's occurred, and what did you see from the incident? What have you been told from your co-driver?
I haven't seen much. He's up at the medical centre at the moment. We just wanted to make sure the driver's right, but as you can see, the boys are here working on it. It looks reasonably superficial, so we should be able to get this repaired and get it back out.
Is he okay?
Yeah, he is okay, so he's good. So he'll get back in the car, so just for our timing, so yeah, it's fine.
As Ian Sheridan comes down the straight, not making overly quick gains on the HSV, but as we get down to the latter part of the straight, you'll see that he pulls on the inside into turn 1, takes that position away. So Ian Sheridan goes 2 laps up on his nearest opposition, which happens to be the Callaghan-Lillis Commodore in second spot, Bloomfield Auld in third, Jones and Everingham in fourth, and Morrell and Osborne in fifth spot. So the 2 Osborne Motorsport Renault Meganes now running 4th and 5th, and as a result that later pit stop for car 31 when the safety car came out certainly benefited them.
The great news for car number 55 is that we're getting word that it may be pushed back out into this race. So as Michael Hopp said, the Hare Motorsport car, there he is. It was in the wall only 25 minutes ago, and we had a decent old stop for it. She's bashed up, bit of race tape. They put Michael Hopp from Hare Motorsport said, yeah, we're just going to put another control arm under it and get back out there. And there they are. How cool's that? Production car racing.
That's the way to go. Andrew Turpey and Grant Phillips have come in, which what I would suspect would be the last driver change, fuel and some tyres going on to that Toyota as well. And Grant Phillips will probably bring that one home from here.
Oh, what's happening with the number 50, the Mini? Currently third in class. Blake Auburn's in the lane in the car leading Class D, and Grant Phillips is out on track. Grant Phillips has got some time to make up. This is a driver change, Gaz. They've made a calculation, obviously, that they have to get that driver out. And this is the number 97 car. The Mini is slow in the lane. It's got a right front wheel about to fall off. That is a wheel, not a tyre.
Now
that is loose on the hub.
they tightened these nuts.
They did.
Particularly so. So dramas for that car. Here's the team car still going around, and you weren't watching a couple of moments ago, Darren, that they were actually lifting the same wheel at the same time going through turn 5. It looked quite humorous as we see Hadrian Morrell actually get out of the way and let Tyler Everingham put a lap on him, which is, I thought, a little bit unusual. I thought that might try and fight to stay ahead of the youngster who's currently campaigning in Formula 4 in Australia and doing a reasonably good job there as well. There's Grant Sheridan on the cans, watching what's going on in pits. Doesn't let out a lot of information now, Grant. Likes to keep the playing cards pretty close to his chest.
So Andrew Rawls is covering everything from the lane for us. Thanks, Rawlsy.
Yes, I'm with Blake here from the Renault. Very late driver change there. Was that part of the plan, or did someone stuff up the maths?
Yeah, mate, it was a bit of a mistake with the strategy early on, but that's all right. We pushed through it, pushed as hard as we could, and I think we're in P1 now, so fingers crossed we can bring it home. But yeah, it's been an awesome 3.5 hours or whatever it is at the moment.
Thanks very much, Rawlsy. We've got Trevor Keane here, mate. Problems with the wheel nuts?
Yeah, it looks like we've broken a couple of wheel studs, and the wheel was making its best attempt to escape the car.
So the boys are going to try and get a couple of new ones on and get you out there again?
We'll see if we can get some on it. It shouldn't be a big job to get it done. We've only got 10 minutes to go though, so we'll see if we can get out.
Well, I'll tell you what, thank you very much down there, Tony and Andrew, for keeping us up to date. It's all about it, isn't it? 3.5 hours to get to an absolute mayhem finish in a production car race.
Yeah, this race has really come alive over the last 15 minutes or so, with battles going on all over the place and tight finishes expected. Now, Tyler Everingham's got a problem. He's got a Commodore in between, which is going to make it interesting to get past because it's probably faster than him down the straight.
That was race control, just letting us know that the leader, car 18, has commenced its last lap.
Wow, okay.
So there we go. We are on our last lap, car 18 out on the track, so it'll be down the bottom end of the track somewhere, I would suggest now. So race control has confirmed that. Here comes car 18 down into MG.
Yeah, and in that first sector, there was half a second faster time for the Lillis HSV. So, yep, you would expect at this stage that they will hold on to second. In the meantime, coming around the last corner onto the straight, a couple of little hiccups along the way, but Ian and Grant Shannon, Ian at the wheel, will bring this car home for its first win in its maiden season in Australian production car racing, winning round 5 here at Phillip Island today.
Ian Sharon takes the win, and there is a very happy Grant. Lap record and race win. They have worked tirelessly at this car, debuting it earlier on this year, and now they've taken a win. It's only September. They debuted it in about March, and it has taken a victory. That is a very, very strong program that the Shannons have been running. Here comes P2. It was in question, and winning Class A2 is Chris Lillis, bringing the big Commodore to the line. That is worth a celebration. And Tyler Everingham winning Class C, and the last step on the podium. There's a very happy Osborne Motorsport and family there for Tyler Everingham. And of course, Callum Jones mixed up in there. And rules at the pit lane.
Grant Sharon, congratulations, mate. Finally, you've got that victory in your maiden season.
Finally, it's it's been a long season up until now, but finally got the M4 on the front and top spot of the podium, and we're stoked. Ian done a great drive today. Strategy worked out well. The team done a fantastic job in the pit stops. Everything just went well, and it's been a great effort for the guys to get the car where it is, to get it so good, and we're on to the next race now and see what we can do.
Ian Sharon gets home in the BMW M4, beats the number 64 of Chris Lillis in the HSV GTS. Tyler Everingham home in Class C, and the winner there in the Renault Megane. Garth Walden in the Mercedes A45, then Michael Ould in the Holden. Hadrian Morell, the next home in the Class C. Cole Orban. Grant Phillips will have had a great day at the office. Dean Potts, a big struggle for those guys right throughout the day. And Amy Griffith taking out the class for the day.
Yeah, that's just awesome. You know, it's great to do it here at Phillip Island and finally get a victory here at Phillip Island as well. We've been so close over about four or 5 years and never quite got there. Got podiums, but never a first. So, yeah, look, we're just ecstatic. It was fantastic.
Well, that brings our coverage from the Shannons Nationals to a close. Hope you've enjoyed the show. On behalf of our entire team, thanks for watching. Don't forget to head to thenationals.com.au for more information about the Shannons Australian Motor Racing Nationals.